You've felt this before. Someone was nice to you. They said all the right things. They smiled, they helped, and something inside you felt off. You couldn't explain it, but you knew something wasn't right. You're not imagining it. There are people who act kind, but their kindness isn't real. It's a tool. And the problem is they're very good at it. So good that you question yourself. You think, maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe I'm overthinking. But deep down, you know. Alan Watts talked about this. Not in fancy words, not in complicated theories. He said it simply. Some people wear kindness like a mask. And that mask hides something else. Something that only cares about itself. This isn't about judging people. This is about protecting yourself. Because fake kindness is harder to spot than open cruelty. When someone is openly mean, you know where you stand. You can walk away. But when someone pretends to care, you let them in. You trust them. And that's when the real damage happens. Think about it. Have you ever had someone in your life who was always so helpful, so understanding, but somehow you always ended up feeling worse? Or maybe they were kind, but only when others were watching. Or their help always came with a price you didn't see at first. These people are dangerous not because they're loud or aggressive. They're dangerous because they're quiet, patient. They wait. They learn what you need. And then they give it to you, but never for free. This isn't about paranoia. This isn't about doubting everyone. This is about learning to trust what you feel, because your instincts know. They've always known. If you're enjoying this message, subscribe, leave a like, and share this with someone who needs it. Now, let's continue. And the real reason this happens is not what most people think.
Here's what most people get wrong. They think fake kindness is just about lying. Someone says nice things but doesn't mean them. That's part of it, but it's not the dangerous part. The dangerous part is this: fake kindness always wants something back. Real kindness doesn't keep score. When someone truly cares, they help because it feels right. They don't track what they gave you, they don't remind you later, they don't make you feel like you owe them. But fake kindness, it's always counting. Maybe they don't say it out loud, maybe they don't even realize they're doing it, but every nice thing they do gets stored somewhere, and eventually they'll collect. You've seen this. Someone does you a favor, a big one, and at first you're grateful, but then weeks later they bring it up. Or they expect you to drop everything when they need something. Or they get upset when you set a boundary because after everything I did for you. That's not kindness. That's a transaction. And here's the tricky part. These people often believe they're good. They tell themselves they're caring, generous, selfless. They might even feel hurt when you pull away, because in their mind they've been nothing but kind. But feelings don't lie. If someone's kindness makes you feel trapped, obligated, or guilty, it's not real kindness. Alan Watts said something important about this. He said that real freedom comes from seeing things as they are, not as we wish they were. And that includes people. Some people can't love you without needing something from you. That's just true. It's not mean to say it. It's honest. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start noticing the small things, the way they only ask about you when they need advice, the way their help always comes with conditions, the way they're warm when you're useful and cold when you're not. But it doesn't stop there.
Let's talk about why this kind of person is so convincing. It's because they've practiced. Not in a planned way necessarily, but over time they've learned what works. They've learned what to say, how to act, what makes people trust them, and they use it. Think about someone you know who's always the hero in their own story. They're always helping someone, always sacrificing, always the good person in every situation, and somehow everyone else is always the problem. That's a sign. Because real kindness is quiet. It doesn't need an audience.
It doesn't need credit. When someone truly cares, they don't announce it, they just do it and move on. But fake kindness needs witnesses. It needs validation. It needs everyone to know how good, how generous, how selfless they are. You'll notice this at family gatherings, at work, in friendships. The person who makes a big show of helping, who tells the same story about what they did for someone over and over, who needs everyone to see them as the kind one. Why? Because they're not doing it for you. They're doing it for the image. And here's where it gets hard. These people aren't monsters. They're not sitting in a dark room planning how to hurt you. Most of them don't even know they're doing it. They genuinely believe they're good people. But believing you're kind and actually being kind are two very different things. Alan Watts understood this deeply. He talked about how people create false versions of themselves, not because they're evil, but because they're scared. Scared of being ordinary, scared of not being needed, scared of being alone. So they build this version of themselves that's always giving, always caring, always there. And they need you to believe it, because if you stop believing it, the whole thing falls apart. And when that happens, you'll see who they really are. And this is where most people get hurt. Here's what happens when you stop playing along. When you stop thanking them for things you didn't ask for. When you stop feeling guilty for having boundaries. When you stop pretending their kindness doesn't come with strings. They change. Suddenly, the warm person gets cold. The helpful person gets distant. The one who was always there is nowhere to be found. And you're left wondering what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You just stopped feeding their need. Because that's what this is really about. They don't need you. They need what you give them. Your gratitude, your dependence, your belief that they're special. And when you stop giving that, they have no use for you. This is hard to accept, especially if it's someone close to you, a parent, a friend, a partner, someone you thought truly cared. But ask yourself this: do they care about you, or do they care about how you make them feel about themselves? There's a difference. Someone who truly loves you wants you to be free. They're happy when you grow, even if it means you need them less. They're proud when you stand on your own. But someone who needs you to need them, they'll sabotage your growth. They'll remind you of your weaknesses. They'll offer help you didn't ask for, then make you feel bad for taking it. It's not loud, it's not obvious, but it's there. Alan Watts talked about this in a different way. He said most people don't actually want connection. They want agreement. They want you to reflect back the version of themselves they've created. And if you don't, you're the enemy. You've probably experienced this. You set a small boundary, and suddenly you're selfish. You say no once, and you're ungrateful. You choose yourself, and you're the bad guy. That's not love. That's control dressed up as care. But here's the part most people overlook. The hardest part isn't seeing it. The hardest part is accepting it. Because once you see that someone's kindness was never real, you have to grieve. You have to let go of the person you thought they were. And that hurts. Maybe it's someone you've known for years, someone you trusted completely, someone you defended when others questioned them. And now you're looking back at all those moments and seeing them differently. The gifts that felt generous now feel like obligations. The advice that felt caring now feels like control. The closeness that felt special now feels suffocating. And you wonder, was any of it real? Maybe some of it was. People are complicated. Someone can care about you and still use you. They can mean well and still hurt you. It's not always one or the other. But what matters is this: how do you feel around them now? If you feel free, seen, valued for who you are, that's real. If you feel anxious, guilty, like you're constantly walking on eggshells, that's not. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter how much they've done for you. It doesn't matter how hurt they seem when you pull back. What matters is the truth of how it feels. Alan Watts said something simple but powerful. The only Zen you find on the tops of mountains is the Zen you bring up there. He meant that peace doesn't come from outside. It comes from seeing clearly. And seeing clearly means accepting that some people can't give you what they promised. Not because they're monsters, not because you're unworthy, but because they don't have it to give. They're too busy protecting their image, too busy proving they're good, too busy needing to be needed. And that leaves no room for actually loving you. Once you see this, everything changes. You stop waiting for them to be who you need. You stop hoping they'll finally understand. You stop making excuses. And it gets clearer once you see the next part.
So, how do you protect yourself from this? First, trust what you feel, not what they say, not what they do, what you feel. If someone's kindness makes you feel worse, that's information. If their help makes you feel smaller, that's information. If their presence makes you doubt yourself, that's information. Don't ignore it. Second, watch what happens when you say no. Real kindness respects your boundaries. It doesn't guilt you. It doesn't punish you. It doesn't make you explain or justify or apologize. But fake kindness, it falls apart the moment you don't comply. You'll see it immediately. The coldness, the disappointment, the "I thought you were different," the sudden distance. That's your answer right there. Third, notice who they are when no one's watching. Are they kind in private or only in public? Are they generous when it benefits them or when no one will know? Do they help because it's right or because it makes them look good? You can tell a lot about someone by how they act when there's nothing to gain. And fourth, stop waiting for them to change. This is the hardest one because we want to believe people can grow, and they can, but only if they want to, only if they see the problem. And most people who hide behind fake kindness don't see the problem. They see you as the problem. You're too sensitive, too demanding, too ungrateful. They'll never admit what they're doing because admitting it would destroy the version of themselves they've built. So you have a choice. You can keep hoping they'll wake up, or you can accept who they are and protect yourself accordingly. Alan Watts would say, accept what is, not what you wish it was, not what it could be, what it actually is. And when you do that, you stop suffering, not because the situation changes, but because you stop fighting reality. You see it, you accept it, and you move forward. But there's something deeper.
Here's something most people don't talk about. Sometimes we stay with these people because we get something from it too. Not in a bad way, but in a human way. Maybe their fake kindness makes us feel important. Maybe being needed by them makes us feel valuable. Maybe their praise, even if it's conditional, fills something empty inside us. And that's okay to admit. We all want to feel loved. We all want to matter. There's no shame in that. But here's the truth. If you need someone's approval to feel worthy, you'll accept kindness that isn't real. You'll settle for scraps because scraps are better than nothing. And that's where the real danger is. Because when you believe you don't deserve better, you'll let people treat you badly and call it love. You'll let them control you and call it care. You'll let them use you and call it friendship. Alan Watts spent his life talking about this in different ways. He said most suffering comes from clinging to things that aren't real, and that includes relationships. When you cling to someone's fake kindness, you suffer, not because they're bad, but because you're refusing to see the truth. And the truth is, you deserve real kindness, the kind that doesn't keep score, the kind that doesn't need an audience, the kind that lets you be yourself without fear. You deserve people who are happy when you grow, who celebrate your independence, who love you more when you're strong, not less. But you won't find those people if you're holding on to the ones who only love what you do for them. So ask yourself, why am I staying? Is it because they're good to me, or is it because I'm afraid of being alone? Is it because I love them, or because I'm used to them? Is it because they add to my life, or because leaving feels too hard? These are hard questions, but they're important, because your life is too short to spend it with people who only pretend to care. And this is where most people get stuck.
Let's be clear about something. Walking away doesn't make you cold. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. Choosing yourself doesn't make you ungrateful. And protecting your peace doesn't make you a bad person. But fake kind people will tell you it does. They'll make you feel guilty for having needs. They'll make you feel wrong for wanting more. They'll make you feel like the problem. And if you're not careful, you'll believe them. Because they're convincing. They've been practicing this for years. They know exactly what to say to make you doubt yourself. They know your weak spots. They know what you're insecure about. And they'll use it. Not always consciously, but they'll use it. You'll hear things like, "After everything I've done for you, I thought you were different. I guess I was wrong about you. You've changed." And it'll hurt, because part of you will wonder if they're right. But here's the truth. Anyone who makes you feel bad for having boundaries doesn't actually care about you. They care about control. Real kindness doesn't manipulate. It doesn't guilt. It doesn't punish. Real kindness says, "I understand. I respect your choice. I'm here if you need me." Fake kindness says, "How could you do this to me? After everything?" See the difference? One is about you. The other is about them. Alan Watts said that most people are asleep. They're living in a dream of their own making, and they want you to stay asleep with them, because your awakening threatens their dream. When you start seeing clearly, when you start choosing yourself, when you start demanding real love, it scares them, because it means they have to change, or they have to let you go. And most of them would rather let you go than look at themselves honestly. That's hard, it's painful, but it's also freeing. Because once you stop trying to make them see, once you stop hoping they'll change, once you accept that this is who they are, you can finally move on. But it doesn't stop there.
Here's what happens when you finally walk away from fake kindness. At first, you feel guilty. You question yourself. You wonder if you made the right choice. You replay conversations in your head. You look for signs that maybe you were wrong. That's normal. That's part of the process. But then something shifts. You start breathing easier. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop second-guessing everything you say and do. You stop feeling like you owe someone your peace. And slowly, you remember who you were before you met them, before you started shrinking yourself to fit their needs, before you started believing their version of you. You remember that you're enough, just as you are, without performing, without proving, without earning love through sacrifice. That's when healing begins. Not when they apologize, not when they change, but when you stop waiting for either. You start choosing differently. You notice red flags earlier. You trust your instincts. You walk away faster when something feels off. And most importantly, you stop confusing attention with affection. You stop confusing need with love. You stop confusing control with care. You learn that real kindness is simple. It's consistent. It's respectful. It doesn't make you feel crazy. It doesn't leave you drained. It doesn't cost you your peace. Alan Watts talked about this idea of letting go, not in a spiritual, complicated way, but in a simple human way. He said, when you hold on to water too tightly, it slips through your fingers, but when you hold it gently, it stays. The same is true with people. When you cling to someone who doesn't truly care, you lose yourself. But when you let them go, you find yourself again. And that's worth more than any fake kindness could ever give you. Because you can't build a real life on fake love. You can't find peace with people who only care about themselves. You can't grow in soil that's poisoned. You need real. You need honest. You need people who show up, not because they need something, but because they choose you. And here's the part most people forget.
So let's bring this home. People who pretend to be kind aren't dangerous because they're evil. They're dangerous because they're confusing. They look like safety, but they're not. They sound like love, but they're not. They feel like home, but they're not. And by the time you realize it, you've already let them in. You've already trusted them. You've already given them pieces of yourself you can't get back. That's the real harm. Not what they take, but what you give, thinking it's going somewhere real. Alan Watts would say, wake up, see clearly, stop living in the dream of who you want them to be. See who they actually are. And when you do, choose yourself. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with clarity and quiet strength. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to make them understand. You don't need their permission to walk away. You just need to trust what you know. Deep down, you've always known. The kindness that makes you feel small isn't kindness. The help that makes you feel trapped isn't help. The love that makes you doubt yourself isn't love. Real kindness is easy, it's light, it's free. It asks nothing in return. It doesn't remind you of what it gave. It doesn't punish you for having needs. It doesn't disappear when you say no. And you deserve that. You've always deserved that. So stop settling for less. Stop making excuses for people who only care when it benefits them. Stop shrinking yourself to fit their version of who you should be. Be yourself, fully, unapologetically, and let the people who can't handle that walk away. Because the ones who stay, the ones who see you and choose you anyway, those are your people. Those are the ones worth keeping. Everyone else is just teaching you what you don't want, and that's valuable too. If this message helped you, subscribe so you don't miss the next reflection. Leave a like and share this with someone who needs to hear this today.